The smoke. That is right. Hashtag there it is. Welcome to tonight's show live from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We'll be probably doing a little watch along. I got the game on. Getting ready to start here. I think like first pitch is 8:08 or something stupid. Uh, what's up, Brian? Yeah, so I really think Toronto looks the best. They put the ball in play, man. They don't try to just hit home runs, and I feel like it's no secret. That's just baseball. Yes, home runs work, but gosh, sooner or later you just got to put the ball in play. Mariners are very lucky. Them and Tigers, they just should have did home run derby, I guess, at the end of the game the other night instead of going 15 innings because that's all they were trying to do. Everybody's trying to jack the ball out the ballpark. But I'm glad the Mariners are here. I would like to see them. I'm like my dad. My dad likes to see the Mariners in Milwaukee. Just shake it up, man. See what happens. Baseball. I mean, the TV. I know a lot of people wouldn't. I would love it. As a baseball guy, it'd be great. I think this series is great. Mariners, Toronto. I think the other series is just going to be just as fun to watch. We could do without the Dodgers. What's up, Doc? Thank you for your email. And here's the funny part. So, I do a regular video on Saturday talking about my collection. I'm going to talk more about it tonight. Just nobody, Bobbles did a video like nobody cares. My friends watch it. The people that are in my common group, but outside of that, for a Saturday chat, where I usually voice my opinions on a lot of things, but it always designed Saturdays like for me to talk about more in depth of the way I do my collecting, like how I personally collect. Here's my cards. This is how I store them. This is my thoughts. Because I love to hear that from other people. I'm that weird guy. I've always been the guy that everybody brought their cards to put in some type of order. It's very calming to me. It might not look like it. You see cards all back there. It looks like cards threw up all around me. But yeah, so I really like that, and and that's fine to me. It just shows you the mentality, maybe a little bit of the community, where we just are as a world. We like conflict. Everybody slows down for the car wreck, but I like to slow down to see the pretty things. That's why I drive a lot now when I go to shows or go to different parts of the country because I want to see the pretty things. I want to take time and take in some things. Uh, Yesterday, I did go down to, I didn't realize it until Friday, but Saturday was the grand opening of the store. Uh, about 35 minutes away from me, Salisbury, smaller town. That's a town that does do quite a bit of, have shows down there in that town quite a bit. Um, but it was called Collectors Cove. It just opened up. I thought it's not a unique concept, but it's unique to, I believe, to a collector's world. This is the type of concept that's down here in a lot of places for antique stores, where somebody opens up a large space and rents out, or however they do it, separate spaces and stalls to sell your wares. So this is the concept that they have down there. I got there, it opened at noon. I got there at 10 to 12 after running some errands. And there was a line from the door all the way down to the corner It was about mid block. It's a pretty big front, old town part of town, and it went all the way around the corner down to the next corner. Congratulations to that store. I didn't see it. I was not going to be around for that. The store's not that big. I saw pictures. It was just packed. It's going to be there. And it has everything from sports car, every type of collecting, anything that for a hobby, cars, TCG, sports car. I saw pops, comics, figures, all kinds of things. So, and I was gonna like talk to him about how it works, the space, because I was thinking about doing a stall at an antique, but I'd rather do one at like this where it has more reason for people to come in to see your stuff. Um, I don't know about y'all, but my God, um, I I sold like 80 cards this week, 88 cards, which is a good week for me. That's above average week. I like to do at least 100. We got the big dumper with the first hit of the series. Um, so God, you smoked that ball too. It cost me like over almost $8 to send 15 cards for a sport lot. So I mean, I'm trying to think. Maybe it was $5 in cards. So I had to come back and adjust I lost a couple of dollars because I know they went up, and I thought I adjusted already. I had to adjust again for the prices of these this mailing. I don't know if anybody else. I know Joe, y'all have different problems with your postage, but I don't know, because that's one thing I don't know about anybody else. If I'm on eBay and I'm looking to bid on a card, I look at the postage. So if it's a card that's like a $4 or $5 card, and it's a one card, and they're not going to do, the $1.30 mailing, they're going to do $4.75, $5, because it is cheaper to mail through. Maybe I got to do more on eBay, but you lose more in the percentage of the money coming back to you, right? So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I look at the postage as part of my paying. I'm not gonna sit there and go, oh, I got a great deal on this card, and turn around and pay $5 for postage for $1 card. I don't do that. I figure that into my purchase, and I know I probably shouldn't do that, but all of that costs money, and that's shop. I talk about it all the time. I shop on a budget. I do. I mean, um, your every budget, changes. Sometimes I have a little bit more money than I do at other times, and I don't shy away. I save up money to go to the National to do most of my bigger purchases, so I can do it in person. I don't shy away from that. I know if I miss something at a show around here, I'll probably see it at the National, because uh, most of the stuff I see, most stuff I'm shopping for is out there. It's not hidden. And that's kind of what, why do we collect the way we collect? What's up, Paul? Why do we collect who we collect, or how we the type of things we collect? And I mean, I feel like as a collector, I'm totally evolving, and I'm hoping other people evolve too, or change up, sees other things. I mean, because if you're catching my, you can probably see some of my shorts around if you follow me. I'm opening a pack a day. I got plenty of stuff back here to open probably for the next few years. But I mean, I'm also doing other shorts. Um, but I feel like, you know, I'm doing just as much non-sport as I am sport, and I'm having, especially with that. Y'all saw with my Scooby Doo. I love that product. It was well done. Um, Now I'm doing Disney. I had mixed feelings on that. Scooby Doo was done by Fleer, which Upper Deck owns. Disney is being done by Topps Chrome, and I like the base cards, but some of the inserts they're borrowing from other stuff. Like today I opened one, and it doesn't have to be Disney. I just want originality. What's up, battery? I want originality. I want you to come with something different. Um, they did this icons, which is not bad, but they've done similar stuff to that before. But I opened this today with Piglet. Y'all know I love my Winnie the Pooh. But is Piglet a future star? What? This makes absolutely no sense. To use something you use in your baseball product, soon to probably be used in your basketball and football product. Why would you put that in a Disney collection? Um, but anyway, I'm still having fun with it. Just always like evolving. I've always loved Winnie the Pooh, and I started just kind of accidentally picking them up. Then my friends found out. Then I started talking about it here. More over because I heard somebody say they collect something, and as an adult, they were afraid to talk about it because they thought people would make fun of them for taking interest in a female sport. Um, so I find it hard to believe them. I mean, in these channels, all of us, I hope people don't feel that. You collect what you collect. I don't care, if you collect something maybe you don't want to talk about. It's a little you nasty people out there. But for the most case, if it's a card or something out there, by all means, do be you and share it. I love to hear these things. I hate a couple of weeks ago finding out that some of these guys that are vintage collectors collect modern stuff too. Well, why didn't I already know that? Why is that a hidden thing? Um, so why I love to find out how people collect, what mind thoughts, where they come from, because I like to know because I'm all over the place, and I'm not all over the place. What would someone that's not a sports fan at all think of the Future Stars card? LOL. Exactly. And it's not even about that tonight, but I opened that right before I came on. I had one pack sitting over here. I did a Disney pack. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not watching the Chiefs. I'm watching baseball. So have fun with your game and good luck. I hope to do. My Cowboys can't even beat the Panthers. That was sad today. We just, I don't know what to do about that. Luckily, my Virginia Cavaliers didn't play at all today. Springer puts the first point on the board with a leadoff homer for Toronto. So there you have it. And that place is going nuts. Thank you, Chris. And I appreciate you again coming on. That was a great show. I think this is going to be a good series. I hope it goes 7 and is exciting as the last series. Um, I think this is going to be good for baseball. We need to showcase some other teams outside of the northeastern part of the country. Um, And let's face it, some people just have to realize uh, that the team that beat you is just a better team. It's just that way. Uh, me and my dad will talk more about that tomorrow on our live. We're going to go live. But as you can see behind me, I got WNBA, Batman, Star Wars. I'm just reading some stuff off. Dreamcast. I love my video games. I picked up some. I went a little hunting today after I worked overtime. Went hunting. I didn't pick up, but I picked up a baseball game. But I love to go looking in antique stores and stuff, looking for. I love older baseball games, like board games. There is, if anybody knows about the vibrating electrical football fields, that was popular in the 60s and 70s. I had two of them growing up with the men on those. They do have a baseball like that from the 60s. I see it on eBay. I could get one. I ran across one once out in the wild, but I kind of want to pick it up in the wild. I've gotten now to where I like hunting in the wild. eBay is, yes, I can be lazy and just get it if I want it. And I might do that one day. I might just say screw it and get it. But that's the type I like. They have metal baseball figures that are like the old metal army men. I've been looking for those. Just stuff from what we call the vintage era, but I wanted it in more toys and games form. I like that type of stuff. That is, if I'm going to get older stuff, that's where I would like to get it. And that stuff's been played. That stuff tells stories. And if y'all missed it yesterday, I got a care package from Ty. I really appreciate it. And man, one of those catcher's cards, man, hit me in so many different ways for my PC, being a Mets coach later in life, and then being inducted into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. I don't know if you knew all that, but man, it was great looking up those players, looking at the history of those players, and just I made a point that the catcher only batted 200 lifetime, because not every player was batting 4,000 in 100 billion home runs. They're just like today. There's a few that are super and some that are not so super. I just think we have this false memory and false because we hear so many stories of the greats. In order for them to be great, they had to be some normal people, people that played. So, you have to have that to be good. You have to have a bad. There's a yin and yang to everything in this world, and I think that is forgotten a lot of times when we look at stuff like that. But I mean, if anybody wants to throw up on a side, what they're collecting, anything. I don't want to say oddball, but anything that's we most time we want to talk about sports cards, even type of sports cards like. If you're collecting, I don't know. I saw somebody today share the guy from Cincinnati that failed, the big outfielder. He had a bunch of nice one-of-ones and patch cards of him. Man, I would love to ask him why he's doing that. Is that kind of he started that because you thought he was going to be great? And I'm sitting there. I've seen lots of the kid from Tampa that got in trouble for being with a minor. I think we all have quite a few of those. We all have stories of this stuff, and things that make us switch how we're doing things. Last week I showed a Syndergaard card. Today I read that Pete Alonso wants a 7-year contract. The Mets can do it. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I'm always thinking, am I going to keep collecting Pete Alonso? I'm pretty sure I am. But I'll probably just get whatever team he's with. I'll get the base card to keep one of him. But it'll give me a reason to go back and really go after Mets cards of his. And I know last year when we thought he was leaving, that's when I found some really nice Mets or some Pete Alonso's at reasonable prices. Because I'm sitting here going, I've been thinking about this. I'm a Gary Carter collector first and foremost. He was an expo when I first liked him. I first found him as a young kid. Yeah, I'm with you, Battery. I'm 100% with you. It just depends on what he's asking for. And I mean, 7 ain't too bad. That would put him at the end of his career, or right there at it, where he might get one more, or two more, or a couple of short 1 or 2 year hired bat type of deal. But I'm sitting here thinking, I'm a Gary Carter fan, and he went from the Expos to the Mets. When that happened, I went to the Mets as well because I like Gary Carter. Then the Mets won the World Series. I fell in love with that team. He leaves. I stay a Mets fan. I'm still watching what he's doing, even though he is at this time a Dodger. If I'm getting, Dodger, Giant. Am I getting that backwards? And for some reason I feel. And then he goes back to the Expos for one last season to retire. But I still, afterwards, I want all the because Gary Carter, not his legacy's over all of that speed. So if I feel the same way about Pete Alonso, especially now, I didn't in his early days feel like he's going to get 500 home runs, but now I really do feel that way. We got Vladdy up the bat right now, 1-1 count. This kid is, man, he hit that on the rope just right at J-Rod. So I feel like, am I going to do the same thing with Pete? Collect his Mets stuff, and afterwards go, I want all of Pete. I want his career. I want, especially if he hits 500, that'll put him in the Hall. Dom might, I don't know if he's on here or not, but I would say that probably put him in. Even with no MVPs or batting, it's tough for me to judge that without any record holder. And who do y'all think is going to win the Cy Young? Do y'all think Skeens is going to get it in the National League? Because, I mean, he pitched under 2. Scooble's kind of the same way, had 13 wins. What, does Skeens have 9 or something like that? I try to remember when Felix Hernandez won it that one year with a losing record, how many wins he had. DeGrom did the same thing one year with the Mets. So Mets just didn't score runs with him. But see, I collected a lot of DeGrom, and I feel like I don't feel the same way about DeGrom as I do Pete Alonso. I think it's because Pete Alonso is a hitter, right? And I'll just keep on doing that. And I'm wondering if other people feel the same way. I know, like Battery's a lot of Braves collectors, but I know he still loves Freddie Freeman. No matter he's a Dodger, Freddie Freeman's just one of those guys. I wish Freddie Freeman was on my team so I could feel that way for him. But I love watching Freddie Freeman. He's one of those guys that does it the right way. I'm wondering if, like, People Joe does, Paul, in other sports, because I can tell you right now, for like football, I don't have any Tony Dorsetts with Cardinals, right? I don't have. I'm trying to think. Who else like moved around, and not many big stars for Dallas went and played somewhere else. Dorsett's about the only one I can think of. Uh, but I don't think I would because I like them because they're a Cowboy. But my baseball, I get personally connected to players. Frank Thomas never. I was a White Sox fan when Frank Thomas was there, but as soon as he left, I wasn't a White Sox fan anymore. Ken Griffey, I liked watching the Mariners play because he didn't get to watch them that often. We had ESPN, but we didn't get to every once in a while Sunday Night Baseball. We get to watch them. And then when they played the East, when they played Baltimore, I got to see them. Because that was back in the good old days where everybody knew their spot, and the American League played in the American League, and National League played in National League. But Cal Riley's making some good stops behind the plate too tonight. There's two good catchers tonight. We got Alejandro Kirk, and Cal Riley going tonight. So we got two good catchers. Calvin Hill from Cowboys Redskins. There you go. I definitely wouldn't do. Even though right now I really like watching the Commanders play. I like that quarterback. I can watch, and I like that team. It feels good to see a good Washington team again. It does. It makes my heart warm. It just feels right. Even though in the NFL now they can be bad one week, but the NFL's the craziest monster. Everybody's so even now. It's tough. It's really tough. I didn't do a rundown of scores. I looked at some college scores, a couple of surprising scores in that. If you're a Penn State fan, I feel for you guys. I'm not a Penn State fan, but what a tough season. I know you're expecting more than that. Like I said, Virginia Tech. But back to the collecting aspect. I talked a little bit yesterday. Well, not a little bit, but a lot about my registry. That keeps me on track for my Gary Carter's. Like I said, I do use it as a checklist, just like Chris talked about, for my Clemente collection and for all my collections outside that I don't do PSA for. I don't, my cockerels, my campies. I don't do the registry, but I use the registry as a check. It's a good checklist. I like cards of players I collect on their early years and on the teams they had their best years with. See, there you go. You want to remember them on the teams where they were their best. And that makes sense. I tend to lean to Ken Griffey in his Mariners uniform, but I do have some 90s inserts of him in his Reds uniforms because those inserts are just so good. I really like them. Man, this guy pitching is not fooling the Blue Jays hitter. They're hitting just peas out there. And that's a good point, Joe. I think, that's a great observation. I feel like I feel the same way because Frank, I tend to, he only played a few years on other teams, but, the majority of his cards are with the White Sox. Cal Ripken, all of them are with the Orioles. David Wright, who I'm really been collecting hard. So this past month, I flipped 200 cards that I sold over 2 months into 2 autographs for David Wright. And that's the way I want to do things. Sell a bunch of 25-cent cards and add them up and add those quarters together and get the cards I really want. And right now I'm having fun opening up packs again, but not spending a shit ton of money on them. It felt like I did it once, but I've been selling some to get that back. It's easier for me to sell stuff than it was 2 years ago. I have a better understanding of where my collection is because of that, and what I can sell to get other cards that fit my PC that I rather have. When I sold that Otani and picked up those Clementes, I wanted to run around and tell everybody because I feel like, okay, now I got an understanding of what people do to flip cards and the stuff that they want. And I never thought there was anything wrong with that. My problem with the flipping culture is the guys that sell back and forth to each other, and that drives up an artificial number pricing. And it's going to take a while for those. And I just think those cards once the new shiny stuff, I think a lot of those older cards get left behind. It's the next generation or next year cards, whatever. And that's that new hobby. I talked about it yesterday. PSA is bought into the new hobby. They want a piece of that secondary market pie by charging us an arm and a leg to get nicer cards graded. I find that absolutely ludicrous. I think it's a bad business model for longevity if they were fighting with somebody in the market for market share, but they're not. So they can get away with it. And as long as we pay it, as long as I keep paying it, I can't really, I'm sitting there complaining on one side and going, hey, I got these PSA cards that I got back. Because I know selling them, if I get a couple graded every time. I send 5 in. I usually get 2 of them graded to sell. And I know they're going to sell because they got that PSA logo on the top of it. If it's SGC, it might sell, but I'm not going to get the price. It'll be 70, 80%. And, I can hold out and try, but then I'm holding the card, not getting anything for it. And if I do CGC, which, good God, CGC, all they got to do is figure out how to do a turnaround in less than a month. That's all they got to do. Better yet, if they did it less than 3 weeks, they would be viable. They would be players in the game. They would instantly be somebody to battle with mid-range cards where you can open up a box, get some rookies, send them in, get 10s or whatever, and flip them for $40. Make $20 on the card, or $25. Bigger rookies, numbered stuff, of course, do more, but they're not, because right now I have an order that's been there. I've said it before. It's good. They're gonna be vintage by the time they get back. They've been there, and the thing is I know it, so I don't turn in cards to sell where I feel like I need to get them back quickly. I send them cards. If it's anything to sell, it's a non-sport. But almost everything I send to them is non-sport. But it's for, like, I'm making a thing of Darth Vader cards to make a display in my game room, right? I like to get them all in one type of flip and go with that. But CGC, man, they're just fumbling. I know I talk about that all the time, but I just want somebody viable, because right now we don't. SGC, I think at a certain point it is still viable, but they're a part of PSA. You still, in the back of your mind, you know that. Uh, so we don't have a legit second party, another group that's going to fight. I don't need them to fight to beat PSA. We need a second, like somebody that's not owned by PSA, because we don't know what SGC, we don't know when that last day is going to be. We don't know that for anybody, to tell you the truth. But SGC, we know, you know what I'm talking about. At any moment, PSA could come out and go, they're no more. They're no more. Well, everybody worked at SGC is now part of the PSA Florida group, and SGC is no longer. I'm surprised we haven't heard it yet. Just the cost of buying plastic and all that stuff. But they have it. So I'm going to keep using them while I can. I have a stack of Living Set that's back here by that candle. So that I'm hopefully can get all those done. If not, at least get most of them done. So I have 5 there right now. And some of those are to sell because you'll see sometimes I get duplicates of some of the guys that I really like, so I can get a better chance of getting a 10 and selling the other one. Did you get a Drake Baldwin? I did. This watch along needs more logos or at least an overlay. Yeah. Well, 0. It's 1-0. I don't know. I can't do logos. What do you want? Damn you, Carlos. Just enjoy your Toronto Blue Jays. How y'all have y'all's? Well, you're less than a month. Are you excited about Ryan Leonard or your Caps? I'm excited about the Caps. I'm mad at myself. I missed opening night. I was sitting there, but I hurt my knee at work. I fell at work this week and bruised up my knee pretty good. So at night, there's been some bad nights for me this week, and it's getting better. This rain that's hit this area didn't help though. But yeah, I'm excited for this hockey year. Just to have something to watch. Just water. I have an ultra wide monitor. I can be a smart ass in the comments and watch the game. Well, I got the game right here. I got 2 monitors. I got a TV, which you can see if you watch my yesterday's my Saturday talking about my PSA graded cards and how I feel. I think next week, if nothing pisses me off and I don't do a rant video, which I'm trying to be a good boy, and I think our hobby right now is kind of boring, and I'm okay with that. I've talked about that before. We don't have a lot of things to squabble about. Even me talking about graded cards is kind of the same old with the graded cards. Ain't nothing really changed. It's the same thing. We're kind of waiting. We're in a wait and see mode. I think it's crazy that the WNBA just finished the season and we haven't had cards out yet. I think it's crazy that football season is halfway through and Prism is not out yet. I mean, not halfway, but a quarter of the way through. And had more football stuff out. I don't know what's going on. I know Topps is showing off the new basketball stuff. That starts this week, if I care. A third of the season for football. When it comes to card releases, these companies are about as clear as mud right now. with those. I don't even know what Fanatics carries anymore. I don't know what the Topps lineup is anymore. We used to know pretty much on schedule what was being released and what. Uh, it's always up for debate if there's going to be Topps Heritage, and I know they're taking pre-orders. I already did pre-orders for Update. They're more. I'm sure there's going to be a Sapphire or something for all of that. It's just kind of crazy to me. And there's one thing, Carlos. I'm glad y'all turned me on to the Upper Deck website, because I've been buying packs on that digital, and I think the digital store is much more loaded. And I think you've touched on this before in one of your shows. Bobbles just threw something because Robles just kicked the ball out in the outfield. But I think those packs are just loaded. I get something really, really good almost every time I buy a pack. I don't know if it's to get you to buy more packs or what, but if I get something really good in every pack, when I say good, I mean like low number. I did get another thing from Topps.com, a Pete Alonso Topps Now card, and they did it to me again. So I got lucky, and it said on the manifest that I have this gold. It's a eBay 101. It's a 50 out of 50 card. But I did not get the base card. Well, save you some tinfoil, Scott. Join the conspiracy ring. #ring. Imagine if BGS and CGC merged, keeping the Beckett name and upgrading their slabs. It would also give Beckett their moment to do away with the 9.5 Gem Mint regrets. Yeah. This is the time for Beckett to get their stuff together. I can tell you, at the National, they had a line every day. We talked about it in the last Nationals. They had people the whole time. CGC did not. CGC was out in the middle, and it was sad. They didn't have shit going on at their thing. Beckett was all the way in the newer side, shoved in the back corner where they had extra bathrooms and a hot dog stand hidden back there, and they had a line the whole show except for Sunday evening. So little sad. So yeah, that was, sorry about that. Little ground ball in, and no harm in the Robles era. I just feel like there's opportunity and nobody is stepped in, and this has become this hobby is. I mean, it must be big business because everybody wants to get into it. Everybody that has a fat wallet's been wanting to buy some way into this hobby or figure out the next big thing. I heard the statement before, and that's why I'm waiting for some of these people with the peripherals and all this stuff, with graded cards and stuff, because I heard the statement before. It was like, who made the most money in the gold rush? Was it the people painting for gold or the people selling them the shovels and pans? So, it was the people that sold them the shovels and pans. And then a few people got lucky. And that's what we have here. It's like, who's doing real well? Well, it's the people selling the mags, the people that are coming up with the new, great case to carry around, the new, whatever the backpacks that are, that has the cases, which I kind of like that. That was pretty cool looking that I saw at the National. That to me is what I've been looking at, and I'm waiting for more intervention in that. And I'm waiting. That's what I can't believe that that CGC hasn't done something to get these turnaround times under control. And maybe this is under control. Maybe they just don't care. I mean, they maybe they're just happy with what they're making, and they're probably doing really, really well making what they're making. But for me, I'm being selfish, and I just would like to have a viable other one that you can get graded and be able to sell, because I do get upset because I feel like we're selling the card inside. We all agree that these companies, for the most part, know what they're doing when they grade. They do make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. It's human error involved. But to me, it doesn't make any sense for a PSA card that sells $100 and the CGC card sells for $25 because it's in a CGC holder. Makes absolutely no sense to me, because it's the card supposedly we're selling, but we don't. We sell flips. The flip is what we're selling. People that are paying the PSA premium, it's either PSA's got a premium or it's at the price and everybody's underpaying or underselling their other stuff. It can't be the right way. That's why I'm selling more and more raw. And if I sell stuff, I try to get a PSA to get the most out of it. Because you have to, if you want to be in the game, you got to play the game, right? If you want to win the lottery, you got to buy the ticket. You can't sit there and can't win it without buying a ticket. So, it's kind of the way I am when it comes to this whole grading thing. I sit there and bitch about it, and then I get right into it with everybody else. And I think grading is a farce, but when it comes to my personal collection, like I said, I went to the last card show. I didn't buy one graded card. And the only reason why I realized that is because I heard somebody walking out saying the same thing. I didn't buy a graded card. I got to my car and I was like, damn, I didn't buy a graded card either. And I had a stack of cards. I did not buy one graded card the whole time I was there. I bought all top-loaded cards, and I was just as happy as if I bought all graded cards. I've said this before too. I'm just as happy when I buy $1 card as when I buy $1,000 card. If I buy, a $1 card that fits my PC that I think is awesome, I'm gonna be just as ecstatic as my, when I pick up, my, Clemente or something like that I had to pay a few $100 for. It just, it's crazy, ain't that? I mean, I'm sure all y'all are sitting there going, yeah, I probably do too. I mean, you get that, you get an auto for $150. It's like, yeah, it's another auto. I got 100 of those, but I got this all-star card that's, green border that I paid $2.50 for. Man, I've been looking for this forever. You couldn't find it. It was stuck away in somebody's shoebox somewhere. It's kind of weird, and that's the fun part about this hobby is what puts a smile on your face, what makes you happy, and then you try to find that same. Then we start chasing the dragon. That's when we really start spending the money. So those $2 do add up. Because I before I was like, man, I'm gonna stop buying all these base cards. What am I buying base cards for? Just buy the autos and the numbered low numbers, and I did that for a while, but it just didn't bring me joy as building a collection as that I have like with the players I PC. I love opening up a book and seeing I got 3-4 binders full of a player. I've got a page full of the same base card, 9 of them staring at me. Some people look at it and go, what a waste of time, money, and energy. But I love it. I love it. All about the base. Yep. I feel that way. you know, that's why when people tell me, "Oh, I get so confused when I'm this day and age because all the colors and numbers and all this stuff," and I'm like, but it's just about the base. If you're just about the base, all that other stuff's just noise. You want the base card, you don't really care about everything else. Just sell all the rest and keep whatever, because that's what I do. I have, when I go after rookies, I like the rookies like everybody else. So I get a base rookie, I get it graded, and then all the other stuff I sell off. I don't need the colors. I don't need a rainbow unless it's a player I really like Pete Alonso or David Wright or somebody like that. And it's fun to get that rainbow. I don't chase after numbered cards of Mets players. I get flagship base. I don't go after any other living set. Nothing else. Everybody thinks, oh look, there's a Tom Seaver. I don't collect Tom Seaver. I'm a Mets fan, so I like him. I like he won a World Series for us before I was born. But I rather get a Ron Darling, to tell you the truth, because I watched that World Series. I'd rather get a Davey Johnson, who was our manager. I'd rather get anything from the 1986 team than I would from the 1969 team. I know that sounds crazy to some people, and I have the cards. I have the Seaver base. I'm good. I don't need all of his other stuff because he's a guy that I love the history of him, but he doesn't give me the chili willies. He doesn't do it for me as I do for the players that I've watched and grew up with. Yeah, and I do collect some when like I said, and this is what I was talking about, why I collect what I collect, why other people collect what they collect. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, but you collect these other guys. Roy Campanella. What a story. What a story. You got the Cochran. My dad talked about Tigers. For some reason, he's talking about him. I see him, start learning about him. Then all of a sudden, right after that, I go to the Hall of Fame, see his catcher's equipment. It was just like, it was talking to me, man. And then I'm just like, wow, he wore that stuff and was as good as he was and just as admired as he was. I like those stories where my dad just constantly, you don't have enough Braves. I got enough. I have a couple of Dale Murphy autographs. Got a Chipper Jones autograph. Maddox rookie. Well, that's with the Cubs. Schmaltz, Glavine rookies. Trying to think who else. David Justice rookie. I got Fred McGriff, but that's with Toronto. I think that's about it. I can't remember. I'm not going to go through them all, but I got enough. I saw them all playing in Richmond, Carlisle, so I have them in the Richmond Braves in my Virginia book. I have a lot of Richmond Braves in my Virginia books. That's a Virginia team. Rabbit Merrillville. Nope, don't have that one. Got me there. But that's why, and I don't fault any, and I'm sure that's why people collect vintage, because they start learning the history of the game. They learn the history of the cards, and they fall in love with that part of it. And, the more that I've talked to people and realized, okay, that's a thing. That's why I love learning how people collect and why I love talking about how I collect, to get out of other people, because I don't think we all collect the same. I don't think we all, there's some people that have 10 cards and that's all they're happy with. And then there's some people that have 1 million cards and they don't think they got enough. There's some people that collect one player. I don't collect one player, but when it comes to players, I have a very small group that I do. Um, and now I'm getting into getting non-sport collecting sets and really having fun with that. Eric does it because he has a lot of concussions. He's still convinced 6970 is ultra modern and gets confused easily. That I can probably understand that. And weirdly enough, I get concussions easily too. Uh, but anyway, uh, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know I've talked about it in the past, and I'll talk about it in the future because I always like to talk about it like this. And I hope to do more Saturdays where I get more in depth on how I do things, why I do the things I do, um, and just go in a little bit more in depth on the way I organize, how I get to do my, how does this end up in this box and why not this box and why do I keep this one and not sell it and all that. And even I might understand it better by talking about it. Because, a lot of that stuff you just kind of do on a whim. You're just like, oh, I better get two of them so I can get in separate boxes. But yeah, I just really, really like talking through it. It makes, like I said, I laugh, but it does let me have a better understanding of myself, right? And how I hobby. Because it's an extension of ourselves, right? I wish I did other things as methodically in my life as I do my hobby. Uh, I was, I have a voucher at a store here that I sold. I sold a bunch of stuff to, made over $300 in credits, burning a hole in my pocket. Bought a couple of things today, some Star Wars stuff, but I was a good boy. I didn't buy up stuff just because I had that. I spent like $30. So I'm waiting on that one game waiting on a game that would cost like $300, and I'd rather put that to that. So I'm trying to complete a collection of Dreamcast games, and I need a couple. I think there's 2 left that are in that $300 range. So if I can get them that way, where I trade in stuff to get it, I feel better about it. And but that and I might even do that on Saturdays. Talk about my other hobbies, because I'm turning this into more slowly into a collector's channel. How I do different juggle it, being on a budget. And just really enjoy it. So hope everybody enjoys it with me. Anybody that watches this in archives, please, give me a like and let me know how you collect. And if you want to come on and talk about it, tell me how stupid I am for doing the things I do. I'm up for that too. I'm always into stealing other people's ideas. I'm all about that. So until next time, like, share, tell a friend, enjoy this series. I think these are going to be really good games. And I will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock.